If you own a Shopify store, this is probably going to be the most important video that you watch all year, because I'm going to explain and demonstrate exactly how you can make more ads. This just generally seems to be one of the biggest pain points, or one of the biggest things that we see brands struggle with. The brands that we're speaking to, the ad accounts that we're auditing, most of it just comes down to the fact that they're not able to create enough ads and sort of like enough high quality, diverse, unique ads. And in order to do this, you need a conveyor belt system. You need like a real system where every single week you are pushing a lot of volume into your ad account. And, to be able to actually create this system, but also to make sure that it is high quality and to sort of never run out of ideas, it's not necessarily an easy thing. It is relatively simple, and we're going to go through it. So no fluff at all. Let's just jump straight in. So again, this is the thing that most brands struggle with. A lot of them aren't running enough ads. And if they are running enough ads, then they're basically just running the same ad 100 times, because as the algorithm has developed and changed over time, a lot of ads just kind of get grouped under the same entity ID. And so I'm going to go through with you exactly how you can create layers and where you can essentially scale and multiply the sheer volume of ads that you will be running and producing every single week, which is obviously the most important thing. So you want 6 layers per persona. You can pretty much get like 540 solid unique ads when this like fully scales up. And I'm talking, if you have a brand where you are scaling up to like $150,000 a day in spend, like just some serious numbers, right? You're getting onto like $3+ million a month in spend. This system can easily be producing like 8,000 plus ads, which is obviously a insane volume. But that's what this system is capable of doing. And so even if you are on a much lower scale, right? Maybe you're spending like 500 a day, 1,000 a day, 2, 3, 4, 5,000 a day, in spend, you're still going to want to use this system, and you're still going to want to, get enough volume, which, I mean, even if you're making like 100 or 200 ads per persona, that's still going to be a really, really large amount when you're adding more personas, because every single extra persona that you add is going to add anywhere between 100 to, at the top end, 500 unique ads into your ad account. And I think the main thing here is ensuring that you can create a conveyor belt system, never really run out of ideas, and not sit around scratching your head every week thinking, oh, we need to pump the ad account full of like 30 ads this week. How do, what's the idea? What's the concept? What's the format? Like, it should just be something that reduces the amount of thinking time for you and your team. And it can just be every single week a consistent system of just pushing high quality stuff into your ad account. So volume on its own is a negative spiral. If you are putting volume into the ad account that is not unique or diverse, things will just get grouped. It will be a waste of time, and you'll end up spending more. Your CAC will either stay flat or start to spike massively, but you won't actually be reaching brand new audiences and brand new people, which is the main thing. Because the way that the algorithm works is every ad targets a new group of person, depending on how diverse or what the ad is saying, or what format it is, what concept it is, what frame it has. That all depends how Meta targets somebody. And there's kind of like a bit of a soulmate theory in a sense of there's like a perfect ad for everybody. And if you can create enough diversity, high quality diversity that is, then you can reach every single pocket and segment of the market. Whereas if you're just focusing on like one angle and you're really, really trying to push that, you will essentially just kind of like be bumping your head on the ceiling of that little sort of pocket of the market, where as you spend more, you will essentially just be spending more to show the same ads to the same people more times, and you won't actually be able to unlock different segments of the market. So the layers, the hierarchy, the system is pretty much this. So you start with a persona. So this can be, I don't know, like a 45-year-old mum that is struggling with sleep, right? That would be a persona. Then layer 2, you would have the media type. So this would be how they see it, whether it's an image or a video. There's only 2 media types on Meta, pretty much. Then would be the format. So the format is like how it's produced. Okay, so the format would be whether it is like a native ad, whether it is a low production, like handheld iPhone camera video, or whether it's like a high production, like really cinematic, cool video, or whether it is just like a regular piece of UGC, or whether it is like a product focused headline, static ad, or whether it is an AI generated ad. That would be the format. You can very, very easily get 6 formats out of that. In this system, by the way, this is like pretty much neutered to like the bare minimum amount that you can get for each layer. There's way more than 6 formats per media type. But this is just for the sake of trying to understand, even at the bare minimum, the sheer scale and volume that you can produce. So the concept then, there's probably like 5 to 12 like minimum that would fit each format. So this would sort of be like is it an us versus them, or is it a guarantee, kind of like which stage of the funnel it is in terms of like what messaging, what angle you're going to go down. Then you would have the frame, which is kind of like whose view the thing is from. So what perspective is it from? So obviously you're targeting the persona, but you can frame it as maybe you can be delivering the ad from the perspective of like the husband or the kid, about how they see that persona, like the mum who's struggling with sleep, is being affected. Like we're still talking to the mum, but maybe just through the lens of the of a different person. Maybe we're speaking to her through the lens of an expert, like a sleep physiologist, etc. And this can sort of be broken into 3 categories, where it would be like the what, or the who, or the when. So, who is delivering it, and are they talking in past tense? For example, like, my sleep used to be so bad until I tried X, or, if I continue with this problem, then it will escalate into X, which you would kind of be speaking in future tense. So then that can be multiplied by another 3. And so essentially from one persona, and you can pretty much get 540 ads, because then on the variant, on the bottom level, and again, like you can do a lot more than 3. This would be the exact like messaging and execution. So this would be like the way in which the copy is written, the way in which the headline is written, the actual sort of like message itself. There's so many different variations of this. There's so many different ways in order to do this, but this is just the absolute bare minimum. Let's say you've got 3 variations of the way that you write the headline, of whether you sort of like put the pain point at the beginning of the headline, or you put the desire at the beginning of the headline, or there's just so many ways to package it up where you can very easily get, a minimum of like 540 unique ads per persona. And so this is the beautiful thing, because once you start to add more personas, and this takes, a real solid amount of market research to be able to find new personas, because essentially if you can not only do market research, but you can also think for yourself about whatever your product does, whatever your brand does, if it solves a problem or whatever it is that you're selling and doing, if you can actually think about how people use it and sort of like try to shift perspectives and get into the mind of your customer, you can very, very easily understand and sort of like create so many different personas and like really understand who they are, what they do, what their biggest pain point is, you know, how old they are, what job they work, like what do they do, you know, for 16 hours a day, like when they're not sleeping or whatever, like what are they actually doing day to day? Like what is their routine like? And the more specific and granular that you can get with understanding and identifying a persona, the more effective that your ads can be. And obviously when you have a system like this where you can just create so much volume to target that person, that's when you're able to scale your ad spend. That's when you're able to like really, really push into new audiences and honestly just dominate, outbid everybody, scoop up a massive chunk of the market. And honestly, any big brand that you see scaling through paid ads, like any that are like spending serious amounts of money on Meta, if you check their ad library, you will see like 1,000 plus active ads. And in order for them to be able to get to that point, they need a system like this to be able to test a certain amount of volume, which allows them then, like if they've got 1,500 active ads, those are obviously the ones that kind of got left over that were in their creative win rate. Like, let's say it's like 20%, for example, they might have had to create like 7,500 or 10,000 ads total to be able to get to like 1,500 that they are pumping and scaling. And they're obviously not just stuck there. They're obviously not just sitting on their thumbs. Like they're continuously putting more volume in every single week, finding more winners, and just pushing the boundaries of what their spend can actually get to. So this honestly is like the most important thing that I see, and the most common thing that I see when I speak to brands, audit accounts. Like this just seems to be the main problem, is how do you actually make more ads? Like it's all well and good saying, yeah, just make more ads, but how do you actually do that? Initially, you need a solid system to understand the different formats, the different concepts, the different frames, and the different variations. But most importantly, the persona is the thing that everything stems from. So if you start to implement this and start to push more volume into your ad account, most likely you will start to see better results and you will start to be able to scale your spend. So it really is as simple as this. It's not necessarily easy to be able to do, but it is relatively straightforward once you understand the layering system. And so if you enjoyed this video, if you found it useful, obviously drop a like, comment, whatever, like subscribe, it obviously helps out. And I will see you in the next one.